We have some breaking news this morning as 49ers wide receiver Jawan Jennings has asked to either be extended on his current contract or traded away from the San Francisco 49ers. Today on Steelers Talk, we're going to be breaking down the possibility of the Steelers trading for Jennings, how much money it would cost, how much it would cost in a trade, and how he would fit with the Pittsburgh Steelers heading into the 2025 season. Welcome into the show, guys. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. This is why you subscribe to the channel. We are currently the largest individually run Steelers YouTube channel anywhere on this platform. So if you guys want to click that subscribe button for our breaking news coverage in case something happens here. If the Steelers make a move at receiver, we will have breaking news coverage for you guys for free on this channel. So don't miss a big move. Click that subscribe button right now. So we got the news early this morning from ESPN's Adam Schefter saying 49ers wide receiver Jawan Jennings, who is scheduled to make $7.5 million this season in his final year of his deal, wants a new contract or a trade per sources. 49ers extended Jennings' deal last year, but that does not change how Jennings feels about this year. So listen, guys, my take on Jawan Jennings is that he would be the perfect wide receiver 2 for the Pittsburgh Steelers in this specific situation and in this specific scheme with Arthur Smith as their offensive coordinator. We'll talk a little bit more about kind of what I think about his game here in just a second. But before we get into that, let's talk about his profile here. He's 28 years old, so he's getting up there in age, but he's still not, ancient or anything like that. He's not at the point where he's going to regress heavily or anything like that. Good size, 212 pounds at 6'3", so he's got a lot of size that he's bringing to the table. He's played a lot in the slot in his career, but he played a lot on the outside last year. He was actually the 49ers' number one wide receiver in 2024 with Brandon Ayuk out with that really nasty knee injury. He's known as a big-bodied route runner that's really good in contested catch situations, really good to the short and intermediate levels of the field. And, his production and the way he played last year was shown by his Pro Football Focus grade, which was 14th best in the National Football League last year. So you take a look at my scouting report on Jennings, and he is the perfect wide receiver 2 for this Steelers scheme, guys. He's got great size, really great hands. He had an over 60% contested catch rate last year. The route running and quick feet are really impressive for a guy of his size, so he's able to get open to that short and intermediate levels of the field, something the current wide receiver group here in Pittsburgh maybe lacks a little bit. And he's also potentially the best run-blocking wide receiver in the National Football League today. Now, the cons on his profile is that he's not fast at all. He ran a 4.7 40-yard dash time when he was coming out. And, of course, he's got that bigger size, so he's not going to burn you deep or anything. And he's only got 1 year of wide receiver 2 production. But it was legit wide receiver 2 production last year. You take a look at what he did. Obviously the best numbers of his career with 975 yards, just 25 yards away from a 1,000-yard season there in San Francisco. Collected 6 touchdowns in 77 catches, by far the best year of his NFL career. And when you compare his numbers last year to DK Metcalf's, even though Metcalf was in a down year and an offense that didn't really use his skill set in the correct way, Jennings still had more receptions. He had slightly less yards, but they were in the same ballpark and more touchdowns, plus a higher PFF grade than even the number 1 receiver with the Pittsburgh Steelers now here in the Steel City. And then you take a look at some of the advanced stats from Jennings last year, 63% contested catch rate. That is extremely high, by the way. Usually you want that to be that number for a bigger receiver to be around 50%. He's up at 63. The yards per route run was 14th in the league, just like his Pro Football Focus grade. And then his EPA on his targets was 19th in the National Football League. So he played like a top 20 wide receiver in the league last year. Now, still to come here on Steelers Talk, I'm going to be breaking down Jennings' role in the Pittsburgh Steelers offense if Omar Khan is able to land him. Then we'll talk about how much money the Steelers would have to dish out to Jennings if they end up trading for him. And then we'll finish up today's show with what it would cost in a trade with the 49ers to get Jennings to the Steel City. But before we get into all that, we have a special deal just for today here on Steelers Talk, guys. 25% off of an Aaron Rodgers Steelers jersey today when you use our when you use our link chatsports.com/Rodgers sale and you use promo code home run. Okay, that is chatsports.com/Rodgers sale. That link is in the comments and description of today's show. You click that link and then you put in the promo code home run for 25% off an Aaron Rodgers Steelers jersey today, and it's only only for today, guys. So if you want an Aaron Rodgers jersey in your collection, if you guys want to secure this Rodgers jersey right now for 25% off, you're not going to find a better deal than this before the start of the season on an Aaron Rodgers jersey. Go to chatsports.com/Rodgers sale and use our code HOMERUN to get an Aaron Rodgers Steelers jersey at 25% off. So now let's talk here about Jennings and what he would be with this Pittsburgh Steelers offense. And he would be this team's bona fide number 2 wide receiver. Okay, he'd be out there in of course 11 personnel, but he would also be out there in their 12 personnel looks when there's only 2 wide receivers on the field. Right now, you got DK Metcalf as the number 1 receiver. He's going to be your every down guy. Calvin Austin III may not be out there as much on early downs because he can't run block, but he is going to be out there essentially as this team's number 2 receiver if they don't make another significant move. And then you got Roman Wilson and Jonnu Smith, 2 guys that are going to be playing quite a bit in the slot for you. Obviously, Jonnu is also a tight end. He's going to be their versatile kind of gadget chess piece on offense this year, if you will, and Roman's more of a true slot wide receiver. But if you add Jennings to this group, he becomes the bona fide wide receiver 2, and then you have Calvin and Roman. Maybe one of those guys are involved in the trade. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But if everybody in this room is still in the room with Jauan Jennings in there, I would say Calvin and Roman would then vie for slot reps. But Jennings probably wants around $20 million per season is probably what I'm guessing. There's a lot of projections out there thinking that he might want 15, and there's some speculation as to just how much he wants. But with his production last year, guys, he was a top 20 receiver, and Jennings probably knows that this is the time for him to cash in, and $20 million would put him around that top 20 wide receiver range in terms of money earned per year. And personally, guys, if the 49ers are willing to trade Jennings to the Steelers, I'd be willing to do that. The Steelers are in win now mode. The Steelers can actually save money against the cap once they get that TJ Watt extension done, and I do have a high level of confidence that that deal will get done. So the Steelers can 100% afford to pay Jauan Jennings that, and he is a perfect fit in this offense, right? In an offense that really cherishes run blockers, especially big body route runner types that can also run block. You're adding one of the best overall route runners in the league with phenomenal hands and is maybe the best run blocking wide receiver in the entire National Football League. So I think that $20 million per season is something that I would personally be willing to pay for a guy like Jauan Jennings. But the thing is, I do think the 49ers are eventually going to cave and give Jennings the number that he wants because Jennings knows he has the leverage here. Brandon Ayuk, their number 1 wide receiver, probably not going to be available to start the season, and he's going to be out for a significant portion of the first kind of portion of the season this year. And Jauan is their number 1 receiver, in my opinion. Right now, this graphic actually comes from our 49ers channel where they currently list Ricky Pearsall, the second-year receiver out of Florida, as their number 1 receiver behind Brandon Ayuk. But I think it's pretty clear based on Jennings' production last year that he's going to start the season as this team's number 1 wide receiver. And I don't think that the 49ers, a team that is still trying to compete and try to win Super Bowls right now, is very interested in letting go of Jennings. And I think that Jauan knows this is the time where he can cash in. So I would be surprised, unfortunately, if Jennings isn't a 49er next year. I think that they will come to some sort of agreement before the start of the season, not dissimilar to how Brandon Ayuk got something done with the 49ers before last season. So as much as I would love Jennings on this football team, and as much as I'd be willing to trade and pay for him, I do think that the 49ers will pay up and he will be a 49er once again here in 2025. But just for fun here, even though I don't think a trade is going to happen, I think the Steelers are pretty content with the receivers they have right now. What would he cost in a trade, hypothetically? Okay, and we can talk about that. And I think because the Steelers would be taking on a pretty decent contract with this trade, I don't think they'd be willing to give up too much in terms of a high draft pick. I think a 4th-round pick and then either Calvin Austin III or Roman Wilson, whichever one the 49ers would want. I would assume the Niners would choose Roman Wilson because he's the better run blocker. And I think that as a true slot player, he fits with what the 49ers would need. So a 4th-round pick and Roman Wilson in exchange for Jauan Jennings. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. Would you accept this trade if you were Steelers GM Omar Khan? Keep in mind that you would probably have to pay Jauan Jennings a pretty decent contract as well. So type A for accept or D for decline. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. And that'll finish up today's edition of Steelers Talk by by Chat Sports. Later today, Coop and I will be going live for Steelers Talk Live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We've got our latest edition of our Summer Madden series, where it's our next Madden simulation. Steelers versus Ravens. It's going to be a lot of fun later this afternoon, guys. So click that subscribe button and join us at 5 p.m. Eastern later today.